The shrill sound of gunfire echoed through the busy downtown bank as 4 masked men stormed in, shouting, "Everyone down! Hands where we can see them!" Customers screamed and dropped to the floor. The manager fumbled with the alarm but was too late. One of the robbers slammed his rifle against the counter. A woman in a gray hoodie stood near the back, her hands raised like everyone else. She looked calm, too calm. Her eyes moved slowly, studying every angle, exits, reflections, and the trembling hands of the robbers. Phones, wallets, nobody move, one of the gunmen barked. The leader, wearing a skull mask, shoved the security guard aside and pointed his gun at the crowd. "If anyone tries anything stupid, people die." The woman's breathing stayed steady. She noticed the gunman's stance, left foot forward, elbows locked. Amateur. The safety on the second man's rifle wasn't even on. Her fingers twitched slightly against her thigh. A man beside her whispered, terrified, "We're going to die." She whispered back, "Not if they make the mistake I think they will." The robbers moved fast, sweeping up cash from tellers and bags of deposit envelopes. One got impatient and fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The crowd screamed again, but the woman didn't flinch. The leader spun around. "You," he shouted, pointing at her. "You think this is funny? Get up here." Slowly, she stood, her hood still up. She walked toward the counter, her steps measured. "You really don't want to do this," she said quietly. He laughed. "Oh yeah, and why's that?" She looked him straight in the eyes through the mask and said, "Because of ended men who pointed guns at me before." The laughter died instantly. "What did you say?" Before he could react, she moved, swift, precise. Her knee slammed into his wrist, knocking the gun loose, her elbow followed straight into his throat. He went down choking before the others even realized what happened. The second gunman raised his weapon, but she twisted, grabbed the fallen rifle, and fired a single, controlled shot, straight at his shoulder, disarming him. People gasped, ducking as chaos erupted. In less than 10 seconds, 2 men were down. The third froze mid-step, realizing the woman in front of him wasn't ordinary. She slowly pulled off her hoodie, revealing a navy blue tattoo on her forearm, Trident. The last gunman's eyes widened. You're, yeah," she interrupted calmly, chambering the rifle. "Former Navy SEAL." The room went dead silent, except for the sound of her weapon clicking into place. The remaining gunmen froze, weapons trembling as the woman slowly stepped forward, eyes cold and steady. Her stance wasn't defensive anymore, it was commanding, controlled, like she'd been here before. "Drop your weapons," she said, voice low but sharp enough to slice through panic. The leader, still on the floor clutching his throat, rasped, "Shoot her." "What are you waiting for?" The third robber swung his gun toward her, hands shaking. "Stay back, lady, bad call," she murmured. Before he could even blink, she rolled behind a marble column, the echo of her boots and the clatter of a dropped magazine confusing everyone. A split second later, she burst out from the other side, disarmed him with a quick twist, and sent him sprawling across the floor. The last gunman panicked, grabbing a terrified teller by the arm and pressing a gun to her head. "Don't move," he screamed. The woman stopped, rifle lowered, her eyes narrowing. "You really want to use a civilian as a shield? That's your exit plan?" He pressed harder. "I'll do it, then you better make the shot count," she said, voice icy calm. "Because the second you pull that trigger, you'll never even see mine." The man's grip loosened just slightly, enough for her to drop her weapon, slide it aside, and raise her hands. "See, no tricks." He blinked, confused, and that's when she moved. A blur of motion, her elbow struck his wrist, her knee buckled his stance, and the gun slid across the floor. In the same movement, she pushed the teller behind her and pinned the gunman's arm to the counter with a strength that didn't look human. He screamed in pain. "Who are you?" She leaned in close and whispered, "Someone you should have never met on a Monday morning." By the time the police sirens wailed outside, all 4 men were on the ground, zip-tied with their own belts, groaning. The hostages were crying, thanking her, filming in disbelief. When the first officer rushed in, shouting, "Everyone okay? Who took them down?" the woman was just standing there, breathing steadily, her hands behind her back. One officer stared at her in shock. "Ma'am, how did you?" She cut him off. "Former SEAL Team 6. Call Washington. They'll confirm." The officer blinked, speechless. You're kidding." She glanced at the 4 masked men, then at the trembling crowd. No, but they were. The officers swarmed the room, shouting commands that no one needed anymore. The robbers were already restrained, moaning on the cold marble floor. The hostages slowly stood, stunned faces turning toward the woman who'd just saved them. Phones were out, cameras recording, her every move captured like a scene from a movie. The police chief, a tall man with gray hair and suspicion in his eyes, pushed through the crowd. "Who's in charge here?" he barked. One of his officers pointed straight at her. "She is, sir. She stopped them all before we even got here." The chief turned to her. "And who exactly are you, ma'am?" She gave a small half-smile, not cocky, just matter of fact. "Lena Torres, former Navy SEAL, retired, not expired." The chief raised an eyebrow. "You expect me to believe that?" She shrugged. "You can call the Pentagon if you need proof." Before he could answer, one of the robbers groaned, "You're dead, all of you. You don't know who we work for." Lena's expression changed instantly, calm replaced by focus. She crouched beside him, "Then start talking. Who sent you?" He spat blood and muttered, "You'll find out soon." She grabbed the mask lying beside him, noticing a strange patch stitched inside, an eagle with crossed daggers. Not a street gang, military. Her eyes narrowed. "These weren't ordinary criminals," she said under her breath. The chief frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before she could answer, the doors burst open again, this time, not police. Two men in black suits entered, flashing federal credentials. "FBI." Everyone stepped back. The chief looked annoyed. "You're late." One of the agents ignored him and walked straight to Lena. "Ma'am, we've been trying to find you." Lena's brows furrowed. "Find me? Why?" The agent glanced around, lowering his voice. "Because this wasn't a random robbery. These men were part of an active federal case, one we've been tracking for months. And somehow," he looked her right in the eyes, "they knew you'd be here." The room went silent. Lena's pulse slowed. "You're saying I was the target?" The agent nodded grimly. "Not the bank. You."